Grab your coffee, get jacked up. It's time for another episode of the BlockTalk podcast. I'm here today with Kyle Leyenberger. I'm so excited to hear all about your new role as the executive director of the Downtown Little Rock Partnership.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
So I really want to start out with your backstory because I know you were here as marketing communications director prior, but how did you get into that position to begin with?
Yeah, so I grew up in Northwest Arkansas and went to school at Fayetteville for journalism and ended up working as a TV reporter for about 6 years up there in Northwest. And during that time, it was right after Crystal Bridges had come in, and there was really a serious period of reinvestment in the downtowns. Everyone was kind of going through downtown master plans and figuring out, like, how can we make this a great place for people to live? And so I kind of honed in on that and started reporting on all these different downtown plans and all the different stuff that was happening. And just, kind of was very familiar with this kind of work. I met my wife up in Fayetteville, but she was moving down back home to Little Rock right after I met her. And so we dated long distance for a while, and then I came on down and started working in nonprofit communications. And so I was working for different groups, doing advocacy up at the Capitol. And then I actually met Gabe, the former executive director. I was revitalizing an old house, restoring an old house, and he had a sink for sale in the backyard of one of his places. And so,
what an interesting place to meet.
Right. So we went and bought a sink from him for $20. And then later I saw that he was hiring for this position, or the communications position. And so I hit him up because I'd been to a food truck festival and some of their events and seen him there. And so I knew kind of what the partnership did. And then I was familiar with kind of, downtown organizations in general and kind of, how important downtowns are for making the place somewhere what people want to be.
Yeah, well, it's exciting to hear where your background is because although we try to definitely stand out from Northwest Arkansas, the success they've had up there as an area in general in each different downtown and each different space, it's been phenomenal to watch. Just incredible.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I grew up in Bentonville, and it was a farming community with Walmart over.
Not anymore.
Yeah, it is a completely different place, and I've gotten to go up there and kind of ride around on bikes on their infrastructure and look at kind of what they've done. And it's amazing. They've created just a bunch of different places that you want to go to, and then they filled in the places in between with people, which, housing, which that's what we need to do.
Yeah, big time. And so that's one of the things too with your job. You're charged as, got a lot going on because you're responsible for so much of the connection of downtown, working in conjunction with the city and the Convention Bureau and all the different organizations that try to reach kind of the same objective of making Little Rock a destination where people don't just want to live, but also visit. And so I know that there's a lot on your plate right now, but you have one project in specific with the master plan downtown that is a pretty big deal. It's been in the media a lot. And one thing I've noticed is there's two different people. There's the naysayers and the oh-yayers, right? So you have this group of people who are like, this isn't going to work. And then that are like, this is going to be the change. And so tell me about when this first came up, what were your thoughts and feelings about it? And how are you implementing now? I know that's a loaded question, but.
Yeah. No. So, when I was already working here as communications director I came in right as the city approved funding to do the first comprehensive downtown master plan for downtown Little Rock. And so, we had been kind of working, and we'd done a great job kind of redeveloping Main Street and bringing business onto Main Street, but there wasn't a plan for the whole area. And so, the partnership was really instrumental in pushing for the need for a real plan. And so we were very involved throughout the whole process, and I got to be a part of all the meetings. And so I was in it the whole time as well. And then we finally came to kind of a really incredible plan that I think is achievable and has implementation steps. And, we just have to work through those steps. It takes money, obviously. And so that's kind of where we could use a little infusion of cash. But the plan itself, when the planners came in, they very quickly identified that our real problem is we don't have enough people living downtown. So cities that are near our size, we're at like a quarter of the population. And so that means there's not enough people living downtown to support a grocery store. There's not enough people living downtown to frequent all the businesses that we would love to have here. And so that is really, and also they found that housing, the occupancy rate is around 97%. And so people want to be downtown. There's nowhere for them to live. And so we have got to build housing, and we have to get creative. Unfortunately, the state law, there's something in our state constitution that prevents really good development incentives that other states surrounding us enjoy. And so as a result of that, we have trouble attracting developers because they call us and they see a lot that like would make sense. And they say, well, what can you do, to make this deal pencil? And unfortunately, we have historic tax credits, and if those don't qualify or if those aren't enough to make it work, then we're kind of at a loss. And so anyway, that and then they go to Missouri, or they go to Texas where they can get those incentives.
Well, and we're such an attractive space for investors in the overall because we have a very low cost of living. We're in a situation where, like you said, we have a need for housing all across the state, but particularly here in Little Rock because we have no inventory. We have this big long list of buyers, and I understand what you're saying when I think about a grocery store. I never thought about that before, but when you have a walkable, livable community, you kind of need to eat. So although all the restaurants downtown are great, it would be nice to go buy fruits and veggies, as well. Yeah. And I think one of the things that I'm interested in hearing more about is you mentioned downtown and the space that people can come and develop. I know that we have a lot of parking lots. I know that we have some high-rise towers. Is there any way, like maybe it's a silly question, but is there any way that those parking lots can eventually be converted to? And does it depend on the private ownership?
Yes. I mean, so the issue that we have with the private parking lots is that there's essentially no cost to maintain them, and they're generating revenue. And so
hello, ice machines in parking lots.
Yeah. So that is, I mean, if you're walking down the street, just imagine walking down the street and you're here on Main Street where there's all these storefronts and businesses, and then you hit a block where it's just been leveled, and it just kills the downtown. I mean, it kills the walkability, but all those need to be turned into housing with retail on the ground floor, or, we should really be doing a parking deck or two and then developing all of those lots.
You got to love a mixed use space.
Right. Right. The problem is just, making that deal work. And so I think that, I'm not sure if you're familiar with issue 3, but if issue 3 passes, I think that that will bring development incentive tools. And I think that we'll start seeing projects like that happening very quickly.
Well, it's interesting because I'm not sure, if that's going to pass or not. But even if it doesn't, there's probably a very high level of importance related to private sector funding. Like people probably, if they're coming out of pocket and saying, look, I want downtown to be a better space, I want the city to thrive, then I think that's probably an integral part of this, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We've tried to pass a sales tax a couple of times and it hasn't worked. And so we have to have those private dollars. One of the recommendations out of that plan is actually to they identified all the state or city public owned land, and some of these parking lots the city owns, and we could offer that to a developer for either $1 lease or sell it for a very discounted rate in order to try to make a deal work.
Yeah.
And so the city is looking at those options as well. But yeah, I mean we have to have private dollars to make this happen. It's just the city can't do it all on their own.
Right. Well, when I interview Frank in the next couple of weeks, we'll talk about that because I think that's one of the biggest things when I go downtown. That's my problem is, first of all, like, to be quite frank, the parking isn't that convenient. So even if there's going to be an empty lot and we're going to park in it, I'm also walking pretty far to get where I want to go anyways. And I know that it's not inconvenient for everybody, but there's a sense of when you're living here and you need to go do things downtown, you're going to be looking for parking. So you got to show up a little bit early.
Yeah, I think that, we have less of a parking problem and more of a walking problem. But yeah, you're not going to get to park in the lobby of the place that you're trying to go downtown. But if you think about it and let's say you go to Walmart and you can't get a spot right up in front and you have to park in the back of the parking lot, and then you walk around that whole store, you're actually walking further than you are walking when you're downtown. It doesn't feel that way because of the way that they've set that up. You're out in this big, open, vast concrete space and you can see where you're going, versus here it's built for the human scale. And so you're walking and you have things that your brain is catching and you're seeing, so I'll put that out there. The other thing is we have paid parking that is actually convenient. If you're trying to go to the river market, go park in the deck at Cal's. It's almost always got space, and it's very reasonably priced. And if you go check out a book while you're there, they'll discount it even further.
Read about economic development and then put your money into it.
Right. There's all, so we have decks. We have the surface parking lots. Let's park in the decks instead and give them some incentive to, maybe do something with that lot.
Well, on the strength of downtown, I mean, it's a little different in Northwest Arkansas because you have this whole energy and stuff around the university and around the football team and all that kind of stuff. Whereas our university is a little bit further off, and we've got kind of a remote satellite office downtown, but the bigger university is down there. And I know that a university is a big catalyst for the strength of a downtown or strength of a city that's nearby the university. And so I'm curious, if we can make it to where people come here and they're maybe playing a basketball game against the Trojans, they want to come hang out downtown. I mean, it's the easiest option. It's close. It's cool. If we could find a way to make it very, very attractive, I think particularly for this younger generation. I would like to consider us younger generation, but I'm pretty sure you don't know what 6'7" means, and me either. So
it's actually funny. I have a 4-year-old, and I was dropping him off at school, and one of the kids in class said that, and we just think it's funny. And so I said it back, and the kids went, and running over like he said 6, telling on me. I was like, oops, I didn't know.
Yeah, you can't put the thermostat at 67 in my house at all because my 5-year-old will jump all over it and the 18-year-old will roll his eyes. But anyhow, the reason why I think the downtown area, I agree with you on, obviously you have a high level of importance of this. It's your purpose in your job every single day. And the thing that gets me about it is like, this is where I want to hang out. This is the restaurants and the bars and the entertainment districts and some of those really strong pieces of it that make it really cool space. But a lot of people, if they don't come down here, don't hang out here, they don't really know. And so I'm curious with that kind of stuff, what is your favorite project right now in the master plan? What step is the one you're most excited to take?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think that the 30 Crossing Park is it's incredible. We've just gone through a second master plan process for that. And, I mean, if you haven't seen the plan, I encourage anyone who hasn't seen it, go look at it. It will be transformational for the city. We had, with the 30 Crossing project, the highway department removed the off ramps and raised the bridge up, and it created 18 acres of green space right next to the river market, by the Clinton Center, by all of these amenities. And it's just this blank canvas, and it has to be saved for public use. So it can't be developed into, some businesses or anything like that. It has to be saved and preserved for free for the public. And so it is an incredible opportunity. I mean, the planners say this basically doesn't ever happen. I mean, that much land right there in the heart of your city. And across the country, cities are going through these kind of flagship park planning processes because they're more than just a park. They're an economic development tool. If we make this major investment, public-private investment in that area, immediately we're going to see development around surrounding it. And they actually looked at all of the underutilized space kind of within a certain distance of the park and said, we can add thousands of hotel rooms, 1,000 new housing units, and lay that out so that we have a roadmap to even do that. And so that's, I think, the most exciting thing. When people ask me if I could do anything, what would I do? It's build housing. But I think that, that park is it's achievable. There's interest from philanthropy. The city is committed to making it happen. The state is on board. So, and even our federal delegation from Congress is interested in helping to make it happen. So we just have to figure out where to find, all that money, and it's going to be an amazing thing for the people of Little Rock.
Well, what I think is really cool is immediately as a resident of Little Rock, my mind went to like, okay, if I could go to a park and play with my kiddo and bring him to the Museum of Discovery and pop down to a restaurant downtown and then get to a point where I could live down here and do all of those things. I mean, of course, who wouldn't want to do that? It sounds like a great idea, especially we're pretty close to the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts. It's a pretty world-renowned space. And like you said, the Clinton Center, which is a very popular tourist destination. So it sounds like a great idea. When you mentioned housing, so I've got a little bit of a background of 15 years or so in real estate and real estate development. And so for me, I look at it and go like, without housing, nothing works, because like you said, nobody wants to try to scamper for a place downtown if they can just go find something. When you look at housing incentives, is there some way that you can look at, or at least what is your ideal of those type of housing units? Is it the mixed use commercial? Is it condos? Is it little single families?
I think that in downtown, we need it to be more dense than single family housing. I mean, there's definitely opportunity over kind of to the south area of downtown where there are lots that maybe that makes sense. I mean, the more dense we can make it, the better, I would say. And we're part of the city's work to implement the master plan was to redo the urban use ordinance, which kind of changed the rules to try to make it a little easier for people that are trying to build that housing. But yeah, I mean, I think that ideally, as tall as we can get that tower to make the deal pencil, then I would go for that.
Yeah, and I noticed with the Regents Tower up for sale, there was an occupancy issue there with office spaces and things like that. And when I saw it, I thought, what a great deal if I'm looking from the outside in. But then I'm also thinking like, okay, well, if it's also kind of a sign of like, hey, we need some help downtown. But my thought is, if you have outside money with inside interest, that's probably your ideal, right? People who want to come, they want to make money on an investment, but they also have an interest in making the city of Little Rock a more desirable place to live and to work and to play. So when you think about that, what kind of outside influence would be, do you think, the most beneficial to bring to Arkansas? Is it people who are just looking for that return on investment, or that are people that maybe might relocate their company or their headquarters here?
I mean, I think any is great. We've seen it. The old VA building up on Main, at Main and Roosevelt. That was a guy from Georgia who has done similar projects in other places, and he was able to use tax credits to make that deal work. And he's created, hundreds of very nice apartments with beautiful views of the city. And now he's working on the AT&T building. So, yes. He has come and found this market and figured out a way for it to work for him. And so we're excited that he's here doing that. But yeah, I mean, I think we have local companies as well that have, the River Market was done by Moses Tucker, and they've done an incredible job of, transforming that area. And now there's a new, city investment coming to there. So I think that as the city makes investments and improves things, I do think that the private dollars will follow. And again, if we can, change the state constitution to allow for better development incentives, then we'll be off to the races across the state.
Yeah.
It'll benefit it will benefit every city or town in Arkansas if we can get that passed.
Well, and it sounds like the main thing is you've identified the biggest problems. You've put some plans into play and, in a cooperative way or collaborative way with other organizations and people who are interested in the improvement of downtown. And I've seen a lot of people like on my Facebook page that are heavily involved with downtown going like, we've got to do this. And I agree with the idea that we've got to do that. We also have First Security Amphitheater, which I think is a fully underutilized space in the sense that people have got to go there, have concerts, bring things in, because it's a cool spot. It's our own amp, if you will,
right.
Which I feel like I wish we would have found that first. But the idea of working in a downtown, you have a lot of experience in that. And so I'm curious, for you, what are some of the things that you want to see that are outside the project that we're doing with the master plan, or are they all included in that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the Ottenheimer Hall, I'll have to revisit, but I'm not sure that was exactly, one of the main things that was identified in the plan, but we already knew that needed help. It's open from 11 to 2. It's a full block. I mean, talk about a parking lot killing a block. What about a block long building that is not open in our entertainment district at night, right? And so the city and the Convention and Visitors Bureau identified that as a problem, and they are investing $25 million with a developer it's a public-private partnership out of St. Louis, who has done projects like this in other places. And so they are coming in and they're going to turn that into it'll be a food hall still, but it's going to have a bar. It's going to have a rooftop area where you can see the river.
You're convincing me to move downtown.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, it is on the way, and that's already happening. The Central Arkansas Library just made a huge investment.
Really cool, cool.
It's a beautiful, beautiful update. And then, the Clinton Center is working on a massive expansion as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, I mean, and these are all right here around this 18 acres where, we have an opportunity, a once in a generation opportunity to create a flagship park. So it's on the way.
Well, and so we use this podcast to add value to your block of time. Essentially, this is our block right here in Little Rock. And so we are going to take content like this and the conversation that we're having and try to push that out to other markets as well, because we want them to see the opportunity. I think unless you live here, work here, or have visited here before, you don't necessarily see the connectivity that happens in our city and how you're 2 degrees of separation from everybody. I mean, I'm meeting you through way of a friend, and it's kind of just the way that this place works.
Yeah.
How much easy, or how is the ease of access between you and these other organizations? Because I know the Little Rock Chamber, the Convention Bureau, the city, there's kind of different messaging from each one of those from a nationwide standpoint. I think partly because they have different objectives, but partly because that's just kind of the way it's been. And there hasn't really been this kind of unified messaging across all of those entities. Where does the Downtown Little Rock Partnership fit within those organizations, and how much collaboration is between you, the city, the Convention Bureau, and the Chamber?
Yeah. I mean, we work together very well. We're all kind of on each other's boards, and I can call up any of them and talk with them about issues that I'm seeing, or, hey, how do you handle this? I'm new to this role. So often I'm like, hey, I heard you are the person responsible for this. How does that work? So yeah, we work together very well. We each have our own kind of target areas. The chamber is a regional chamber, so they have a much wider focus. The Convention and Visitors Bureau is focused on the whole city and bringing people here, whereas I'm focused just on downtown. And obviously the mayor has to think
has to do what everyone says there.
Yeah. But yeah, he understands the importance of downtown, and so do our council members, and so we have a great working relationship. And everybody understands the value of downtown and wants it to be the best it can be. And so, we're in a good spot.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool. I don't know why I think this is the coolest thing ever, but our airport code is lit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why I love that so much, but it seems like it should correlate somehow with downtown.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I've worked with the Convention Bureau quite a bit, with Gina and with, also Mayor Scott, and also with Jay. And I think it's just it's interesting because we have such a collaborative team, and it might just be the turning point that we're looking at right now, where we have an opportunity to really make a big impact through this master plan. And it's really cool that you have all this experience, not just from sending that message out, but also being fully ingrained in the process up in Northwest Arkansas, but also now here in Little Rock. And so you were appointed to this role, I believe, in 2025, in the middle of 2025.
That's right.
Okay. So how big of a change has it been from your previous role into this one? A big one, I bet.
Yeah, it has. So I started in journalism and then into communications, which is very closely related. And then into this new role, which is just a whole different set of, things to think about and be concerned about, and, different things that I have to do. And I was joking with Gabe, who, held a position before me, that, I came in and my inbox, the amount of emails I get jumped dramatically, like within a week. And the emails are not easy. It's like each email is like, how am I going to solve this? It's like, and then you have to run that down, or he's helped guide me, luckily, in lots of different ways. But yeah, it's definitely, you're in charge now, and you have to, if somebody comes to you with a problem, figure out how to fix it. So, versus, before I just talk about how we fixed it and, make sure everybody knew that we fixed it.
Now it's in your hands. Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's interesting too, because we, like I said, I was talking with Shelly. You have a fantastic team here. Everybody I run into from the partnership, super cool, super easy to work with. And they talk very highly of you, as do other people I know in the city who are interested in the downtown. And I love what Gabe did as well. But what's really cool is that you've kind of got this fresh air that you're working with here, and you're like, yes, it's brand new, it's pretty overwhelming, but at the end of the day, you have these team members who are fantastic, and you have all these other incentives, or not incentives, but events and other opportunities going on downtown that maybe the city or the residents aren't sure. Oh my gosh, you guys are putting on the Main Street Food Truck Festival,
right.
Like some of the identity. So what are some of the other things that the partnership is responsible besides that amazing food truck festival.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, one thing is our public art program. So most of the murals that you see around downtown, I mean, more than 40 of them, we made happen. So
nice.
We raise the funds for them, and then we manage the project. We have a public spaces committee that will come in. So if you want to get involved in bringing more art downtown, you can join our public spaces committee. But basically, we will, if a business owner comes to us or an artist comes to us and they have a wall and they're willing to put up half the money, and our public spaces committee approves, we'll pay the other half. And then we can also help kind of do nationwide artist searches. So we do, we manage that whole process, then make sure it gets completed. We just started doing Mural Fest, which is a way where we find one location and we get 8 different artists together and they all paint large scale murals and make an open air art gallery.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So down in Soma, behind the, 15th and Main, go look in the alley behind the white building there, and you'll see a large scale mural that used to be just a dingy alley, and we cleaned it up, and now it's a cool space to go look at art. We also run the city's ambassador program. We manage it for them.
Yes, I want to hear about the ambassadors program.
So they are, it's a team of people out in bright uniforms, and they're out there cleaning the streets, clean and safe, picking up. They've been really invested in leaves right now just because there's tons of leaves. So, if you look outside, it's clear. And that's thanks to the ambassadors.
Not like my yard.
Yeah, no, right? Mine either. But yeah, so they are funded by the city and the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau, as well as the Metro Center Business Improvement District, which we also manage. And they are just out there to help people if they need help. They're also picking up, tons of trash every few months. So just, making sure that the city's welcoming for people. Mm-hmm. And then we also, in addition to the Food Truck Festival, we have our annual dog parade, Barkus. And this year, I think it's not fully public yet, but I think we're going to move that dog parade over to MacArthur Park, hopefully. So
that would be cool.
So that's in the works. And then we also we work with Studio Maine on different things. They are doing a pop-up over on 9th Street. They're going to turn the street into they're going to do a road diet and add kind of retail opportunities over there between Dreamland Ballroom and the Mosaic Templar Center, it used to be kind of like Black Wall Street of Little Rock, and it was kind of destroyed by the highway expansion. When 630 was built, it cut right through the heart of their community. And so this is an opportunity to try to right the wrongs of the past and show what it could look like if we brought 9th Street back. So we're helping with that. We're going to help program. We're going to do Food Truck Fridays, because that's kind of the Food Truck Festival is our biggest event of the year. So.
Well, the food truck scene in Little Rock is unreal. If you're a foodie, which is another thing about our city, is people don't realize, this is a foodie place. You can go up and down Main Street. You can go all the way through downtown, and there's some really good restaurants, which I personally have a thing for La Chingada right now because the portions are massive and the food's good. So I'm happy there. And I like the open air concept of being able to sit there and enjoy the outside, the sounds and the people walking is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And I've worked with Cal's and also with Shelly on the partnership that we've done with Plaza Frida and for the Cal's Day of the Dead event. And it's really cool to see all the progress and work there. That thing has grown over the years.
Oh man, yeah, that's
it's
one of
a
my
lot
favorite
of fun.
Events. Yeah, I love it. And that's, Maria from the library takes the lead on that. And she's fantastic and does an amazing job.
I don't know how she responds to email so quickly. I don't know what your turnaround time is. I'll check it. But she's like, you send her an email and you're like, wait, she responded.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, that's one of my favorite events of the year. And it brings a different crowd than most of our events. It's people from all over the city, and it's so colorful and vibrant and beautiful. I love that one. So yeah, we do that. We have been doing a rooftop movie series where we show movies on the top of our parking deck.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so you've got this movie screen with the city skyline behind it. And let's see, I don't,
I think I'm
Second
going to
Friday
take
Art
the
Night is the other thing.
presentation. Oh yeah, I love Second Friday Art Night. But the other thing is maybe we'll just take the master plan and create it into a video and then just show that on top of the parking deck.
Yeah, that'd be
like,
great.
we tricked you. But yeah, that's something I think is really cool, the different events, because it brings people to this part of the city that may not have otherwise explored downtown. And I know even for me, I have close friends and family that are like, oh, I'm not going to go downtown. It's hard. It's just, it's downtown. It's busy. I mean, there's always something that
It's
keeps
not
them
for
from
everybody.
downtown. Right. But it's like, well, when you come down and see it, it's a lot like other areas of the city in the sense that it's connected and people from all different backgrounds are there. And our city is a melting pot to begin with. And so I'm curious too, like this is maybe more of a personal question, but obviously your wife got you down here, which is great. Thank you, Mrs. Lionberger. But also with respect to Little Rock, like something had to draw you to this position outside of that, I'm sure. Now, starting with marketing communications, sure, it fits your skill set and all of that, but you could have worked at every different organization down here. So what really stood out to you about the partnership that made you say, like, that's the one I want?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I love old houses. My
Says Gabe and his thing.
right. Yeah. My wife's family, she grew up on Louisiana Street.
Okay.
And when I first moved down here, we were in her parents' rental property that they had, fixed up that was kind of dilapidated. And so that kind of, I've always been kind of hands-on and done work on houses. But I'd never dealt with an old house. And so we bought a house in Central High and went down to the studs and completely renovated it. And,
you learned all about development downtown through your own personal process.
But just being able to, be in an area where you can, I got a bike and I quit using my car and I just was able to ride everywhere. And, like you said about our restaurant scene, I mean, I think that we punch above our weight for the size of city we are. We have a lot of great places to eat and just being able to, go around and I worked over by the Capitol. So, that's a little bit walkable, but not like here. As soon as I started working here, I mean, I could go somewhere different every day and I don't ever have to, get back in my car. And now I live even closer. I live in Soma. And so back on Louisiana Street. And so it's like, I rode my bike to work today. I can walk to work. I can walk to, shop. I can walk to eat for dinner. My 4-year-old rides a bike and loves it. And, so we're all about it. He was this morning, when I got on my bike to ride to work, he and his mom got on a bike to go to the coffee shop. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting too is when I saw your bike in your office and I was like, man, the only downside to that is I don't want to ride a bike after I eat. I'm full. I gotta push it home.
I actually like it. I mean, it's it's just nice to get out in the fresh air and kind of move. Yeah,
I would probably fall over, but my son has one of those like cars he got for Christmas, and it's like got the lights and everything, and he's like against his bike now, and I'm like, oops, my mistake. But it's a lot of fun. Even if we had one of those, we could ride around downtown.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool, and I really like the idea of how innovative your thinking is and how collaborative you are with all these other organizations, because I think that's one of the biggest things we really, really need downtown is people to get on the same page. Like I was saying earlier, like the difference between, hey, this is going to work and no, it's not, is it's kind of it's obviously on two different sides.
Sure.
And what we need is the whole city to get on the same page.
Absolutely.
Because if we want a better Little Rock, like we've got to make one. Right.
Exactly.
So, you can't do it all by yourself, but you're got us on a good start.
And I mean, that I think with the 30 Crossing is an example of just how far we've come on that, because we literally, I mean, the state, the federal delegation, the city, all the different people that are around it, Historic Arkansas Museum Discovery, everyone is on board and pushing in that same direction. And so it's really exciting. And I mean, having all that energy kind of together is great.
I bet those meetings are fun, but I'm sure at the beginning they were a bit contentious because you got to see it from everyone's side. And I'm actually reading this book right now that's about active listening, which is a skill I need to use. But it's something that it talks about, different people's points. If you can't step into their shoes, maybe you don't have the experience of the library. You don't have experience of the convention bureau. So you get everybody in the same room and everyone has a different viewpoint of like what's most important. So I'm sure that those meetings have probably calmed down in the past few months.
Well, yeah, I mean, really it goes all the way back to when we started the full master plan, because 30 Crossing was one of the focus areas. Like they recognized that during the main master plan and said, look, this is a huge opportunity. And so, those we had tons of meetings for those. It was stakeholders on a monthly basis, and it was, probably 20 people in a group, each focused on different elements. And yeah, I mean, those were like long conversations, and then you take it to the public, and the public gets to weigh in, and then they do a revision and come back. But I mean, honestly, the plan that came out of kind of the initial stakeholder meetings this time, which was also informed by all that public comment from the full master plan, the public response was we showed it off at Food Truck Festival this year. We held Food Truck Festival in the location.
Feed them and inform them.
Yeah, right. And then we had a big tent set up with all the boards and kind of a place where you could put notes about what you thought about the plan.
That's pretty cool.
And I mean, the majority of the comments were, how fast can we have this? Because it's beautiful. I mean,
well, it touches every aspect too, because it's the live here, play here, work here. Like, you have all these different opportunities that are associated with one project. So it makes sense to me from the element of, some people might be like, well, do this first or do that first. But this solves a lot of those things in the same direction. So it makes sense to me.
And the other thing is just, I mean, it's right there in the heart of our downtown. When people come to visit Little Rock, would you rather them see? I mean, they're coming downtown. If you're coming to a convention, they're downtown. Mm-hmm. Do you want them to see a big grass field, or, should we go ahead and develop that and turn it into an economic development tool? I think it's obviously the highest.
It's a very
priority.
standout piece. Yeah.
And the other thing is just, I mean, I think that, obviously it's going to be a serious capital campaign that we have to raise, but I feel like it is something that people are excited about. People will be able to get on board, and hopefully we get some momentum, and then it just keeps growing.
Yeah, I think probably it's going to take a whole investment group of people that are interested in making that turn, but probably a mixture of our own, local private investors as well as outside private investors, because it gives you this opportunity to really, got to collaborate on the whole thing. But it's cool that you already have the plan in place, so I can just call the guy and be like, hey, you've already developed some downtowns in other areas of the state. Like, let's do it here, and help us kind of walk through this process as a city as well. So lots of exciting things going on downtown, and I'm pretty pumped about it. Plus, now I know where your offices are, and I know your team, so I'll be parking somewhere close to the Main Street Food Truck Festival, and I will be saying, hi, I'm here. I'm a friend of Kyle's. Like, get the VIP treatment. Yeah. Well, one of the other things I wanted to do, and I did this on the Chambers podcast, so I'm going to repeat myself, but I have this idea for vacant properties. I'm curious what you think about this, because there are some underutilized buildings down here that are vacant that need to be occupied, right? And I think trades is a really, really important part of our workforce here. They're going through UAPTC, they're going through UA Little Rock, and it's becoming more and more important to have your HVAC, your plumbing, your roofing, et cetera.
Sure.
So I don't know if we can put this on the list behind the park, but it's something that if you could have small businesses come in and renovate a space like that, but by forcing the officing of afterwards. So like, hey, I'm going to work in this building, and you're going to give me either discounted or no rent while I train my staff and improve the space. Like, I'll do the HVAC, I'll do the plumbing, I'll do the roof. And then after they're done with their lease, okay, the landlord's pumped because it's built up, it looks beautiful, it's something usable, and there's officing going on there, but also they're getting their staff trained, and they can move to the next building and just trade spaces and move from place to place. So I'm going to put that on the table here, like I did at the chamber, and just say, if you guys want to work on that, I would really appreciate it, because I think it would be fun, and I think it would empower our trades, and kind of an interesting, thought pattern on how to do it.
Idea. And we could even put a little mini micro retail storefront in front, and then people will see a store, but there's all that work happening behind there. I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
That's definitely a good idea. We could put small retail spaces there for people to come and visit. And I like the way that Soma's put together in that way, because everything's a little boutique and a little restaurant. I think it was cool what they did in Petaway with, Michael Orndorff and his initiatives on all the housing and the small coffee shop. And I know one of his tenants that's going like, we're growing out of our space. We just have so much going on down here because it's such a walkable community, and the Bernice Gardens there, and there's so much going on that I can't wait to see that filter here to downtown. And I think you and your team are going to do a great job collaborating with the other people that are interested and engaged in this process to really make a big shift in Little Rock. So I'm excited about that. And if you haven't been to our capital city here in Arkansas, you're really missing out, because we do hear a lot about Northwest Arkansas, and I'm glad that you grew up there and everything, but I'm glad that we got you down here in the capital city so we can make some of those changes as well and give ourselves more of a leg up on the competition up Northwest.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here. I mean, I really do love the city. And living right downtown, I see all the stuff every day, good and bad. And So we're working on it and we're making it better. And yeah, I mean, it's a great place to be. And I encourage everybody, it's maybe not what you hear on the news all the time,
I just get so frustrated with the statistical analysis of this place that is as an over, like, first of all, we are our capital city, but we have like a 220,000 populations or something. So we're kind of a small city, a small town on a big city.
Yeah.
The other piece of it is like highlighting things that really, really matter. It's like the museum. It's like the Clinton Center. It's like the museum. It's like First Security. It's like all of these different things that go on downtown, the food, the engagement, the people, like it's insane. And so it's one of those things, like we might be in progress, but we're full of great people and we're on our way to turning a corner that you're going to wish you were here living downtown before this happened. Yeah.
When
grandfathered in.
I was up in Springdale, when I was up in Northwest Arkansas, I was doing a story about the Springdale master plan, and I was like, man, I need to buy a house in downtown Springdale. This is going to be amazing. I didn't do it. And I mean, it's good because now I'm down here and I live downtown, but it was, I mean, it happened. So, I mean, yeah, now's the time. Like, if you can find a place, get on down here.
Yeah, I've got a condo for sale there in the River Market, so we're good. But that's one of those things where people really need to look at it now because you want to be on the front end of something like this. And you being on the front end of the master plan gives us a leg up on being able to get this thing accomplished. So I'm really grateful that you got here. I'm excited to have met you and gotten the opportunity to chat with you about this. And I think what we'll do from here is we'll follow back up with you hopefully in about 6 months or 8 months and kind of see where you are at that point.
Yeah,
and then as far as, outside investors or inside investors, like, go ahead and bring your money and your innovation and work with us on this so we can turn the corner here in the capital city.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Yeah. Great to see you. Bye.
Bye.